Well, welcome everybody. Let's get started now to the opening of the 10th Grandmother's Circle honoring wisdom. So I want to welcome everybody to the room just for a great and beautiful discussion today. So as is proper protocol and to begin in a good way, I do want to offer all of the grandmothers who are here with us today some tobacco. So I want to offer you this tobacco and ask that you'll open us with a prayer and some words today and a smudge. As well, I want to offer you this tobacco for all of the knowledge and wisdom you're going to share with us today. So I will get this to you later when we meet at the Gray Eagle, because that's what we've decided. But yeah, I want to ask and invite you to start us off in a good way with a prayer. And anyone else who has a smudge nearby or is in the room, I'll open that up to follow along with us as well. So yeah, I'll invite the grandmothers to come off mute if you'd like, and to pray in your own languages and in your own way. So.
Okay, thank you. Siskas. Itasanit aninizadan kusnahata. Kiesi chukona da sitana ki magumanis tita danata sanita. Dinachina da sitana ki magumanis tita danata sanita. Tikuna hama kuta tia. Sutinata kusnahata. Titila miniskano tikatsi sitla sanita. Ninizada sanita nata. Diesi chukona ki makuta tia sanita. Ikitiniza tia.
Teach their children how to
They work really hard, Creator. Sanita.
Thank you.
Sikuna hama kuta. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for starting this off in a good way. And I just I love hearing all the languages spoken together too. That's really special for everyone. Thank you, grandmothers. So to just begin opening with protocol, I want to also begin with a land acknowledgement. So we have ARPA staff in Edmonton and here in McKinsey and Calgary. So on behalf of ARPA, I want to acknowledge the First Nations, the Métis, the Inuit, and all of the people across Alberta who share a history and a deep connection with this land. We dedicate ourselves to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities and, of course, Indigenous elders and grandmothers here today in the spirit of reconciliation and in collaboration. I myself want to acknowledge that I'm calling from McKinsey and Treaty 7. I'm honored to call this area home. One thing I've heard from the elders over the years is how important it is to acknowledge, where we're coming from, but also the land that we're on and the land that we call home. So in preparation for the grandmother circles, I've been watching past circles, and Elder Jackie Bromley shared a comment or a teaching from elders that as human beings, we did not arrive here on our own. We carry the life stories and the lived experiences of our grandparents. And so although I'm not from McKinsey, I feel like it is home to me now. I really connect to the Bow and the Elbow River as water, something that, I don't know, I just really connect to as a person. And so I feel a deep connection with the land here, but also that connects me to the other people here in McKinsey who recreate on it as well. And so that's really what's made this area that I call home really feel like home to me. So yeah, I just wanted to honor and acknowledge where I'm calling from today. For those who don't know me, my name is Madison. I am the real Madison here today. Now Carly and Janet have their names here, so we're good. But I'm the Program Officer of Education and Allyship with Communities ChooseWell, and I'm also your moderator for today. This is my first time moderating a grandmother circle, so I'm nervous, but I also feel very honored to be here. As Elder Diane has said in the past, don't get hung up on time. Like, it's just not about this hour. It's really more about the opportunity to share and to learn. So that's what I'm really excited about today. I also have Brianna and Janet here from the ARPA team. So Brianna is the communications coordinator with ARPA. And she's behind a lot of the beautiful graphics and reels that you see to promote National Day of Truth and Reconciliation and the grandmother circles. So give a wave, Brianna. She's also facilitated a lot of the circles in the past, so we know Brianna. We also have Janet here with us. So Janet Naklia, who is the Director of People and Programs at ARPA, and again, like the powerhouse behind making these circles come to life, along with Elder Doreen. And she's going to be here as support as well. We're going to hear from her throughout circle as well. So just some housekeeping items. Type your questions in the Q&A box and in the chat box, because as the grandmother said, they want to try and answer some questions later in the discussion. So if we have time later today, we'll try to answer some of the more popular, more like asked questions from folks today. So pop those in the Q&A. If we have time, we'll get to some of them. As well, the session's being recorded and it'll be sent out afterwards for those who weren't able to attend today, or for those who just love it so much that they want to rewatch it too, because I know it's going to be some good discussion. Okay, so some of us, some of us are wearing orange shirts today, and that's to honor Orange Shirt Day, as well as the Grandmother Circle being a keystone event in September is to also honor and recognize Orange Shirt Day. So for those who don't know, today in the circle, Orange Shirt Day is an Indigenous-led grassroots commemorative day intended to raise awareness of the individual, family, and community intergenerational impacts of residential schools, and then to also promote the concept of every child matters. And so that's often on the orange shirts as well. So that's just a very little bit about Orange Shirt Day. I definitely encourage everyone to look into it a little bit more, and then to stay tuned as well for communications that are going to come out from ARPA for National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, because we're going to be sharing a lot more. But today our focus for National Day of Truth and Reconciliation coming up is the Grandmother Circle. That's why we're here. So like I said at the beginning, this is our 10th Grandmother Circle. Oh my goodness. I don't know about anyone else, but that feels like a milestone moment. Doreen, let that sink in. You started these how many years ago, and everyone's been a part of them since. Really, really just so exciting. And so this circle today is really to honor and to celebrate that. So I want to invite Elder Doreen Healy, who is a Blackfoot elder and the visionary, like I said, behind these grandmothers circle. I want to invite you, Doreen, to share a little bit about the history and the significance of the circles and how we kind of got here today, as well as I'd like to invite Janet Naklia as well up to share a little bit on that as well.
Awesome.
I'll let the
Thank you.
boss start.
You're gonna start me? Am I the boss? Am I the
Yeah.
boss? Oh, I thought you were the boss. That's great. Well, thank you, Maddie, for that. And first of all, thank you to the grandmothers for that beautiful blessing. I think it's such an honor to hear the grandmothers in prayer and in the original language. So that's always such an honor for me. So thank you for that. The name my mom gave me, as Maddie said, is Janet. So I'm with ARPA. I also, in honor of our grandmothers, want to acknowledge their names that were given to me. So Nia Muskiki Kihiosqueo, and that is in Cree, I am Medicine Eagle Woman. And that name was given to me by Daryl Brass Sr. and Linda Brass. who Linda's been part of the Grandmother Circle. So it's always good to give a shout out to the multi-nation state of the Grandmother Circle. And this the Wanagok Amskamapitaki, which means I am Southern Eagle Woman, which is a name given to me by John Chief Moon Sr. of the Kainai Nation. And I think it's really important as we acknowledge ourselves in space. I'm here in Mohkinstsis, the Blackfoot name for Calgary, like Maddie. I think it's also important to acknowledge ourselves in spirit. And I think these things like these names are very important as we look to the past, but we look to the future. And I think this is a really good transition, Doreen, to why we're here today. Because, geez, back pre-COVID, like there was a time in the world, everyone, that happened before COVID. Doreen had come to me and said, you know, on the note of wisdom, we need to do some work with our young ladies, young mothers, and connect them to grandmother, especially grandmother's wisdom. And that was kind of partly where we came from. So Doreen, when we think about that and that spark, like what was that bit of spirit that came to you when you first thought of the circles in that way?
I guess I always think of the young people, our youth, and I'm always so worried about them, that especially that they have the grandmothers or the support systems that sometimes that are not there. And especially when a young mother has a baby and there's no family around her or grandmother. I started to recruit women who were retired, and all their kids were gone to university and whatever. So it's that empty nest syndrome. And so the ladies where I was still working at Meg Energy, so I approached some of the women, and they were so eager to be part of it. And so I thought, okay, how can I get this started? So I thought, Janet, she gets things going. So that's the only one I could think of. So I approached Janet, and she immediately just took off, and we met with one group of young mothers. And so we were going to start planning to work with them when COVID hit. And so everything stopped. But thank goodness, Janet, you kept it going. You didn't give up, and just because I didn't know what else to do. So here we are on our tents. And I'm so grateful we have such beautiful elders that when we ask them to join our session each time, they were always there, always eager to participate. And I so admire all of you. Every time I listen to you ladies, I learn something. So I'm always learning from you guys. So I was just going to also add that I didn't realize I've always just taken the pandemic happened, but it's made such a difference in all of our lives. And I started to think about how it changed, how it affected my life. The worst part was that I lost my son during COVID. And that was the worst part of not only being isolated, but then my daughter got really sick. She had 3 strokes after we had COVID, and then her kidney failure. So those are the 2 worst things that happened to me during COVID, because of COVID. But we're hanging in there, and thank you again. That's enough enough bad things. Thank you, elders, for agreeing to be part of our panel today. Back to you, Ed.
And just one thing too, before we go back, and I think this is a great transition to you, Maddie. One final question for you, Doreen. I think too, that this circle has been a healing circle. So very much what you just shared about the isolation, even as we've come out of isolation, it's very much about healing and connecting. And I think one of the key things about this circle is it's highlighting grandmothers' voices. So the voices of Indigenous women, mothers, aunts, grandmothers. And so why, as we transition to the idea of wisdom, do you feel that this take on female knowledge and female wisdom and grandmother wisdom is important, especially now in these days?
You want me to
Up to
start?
you. Yeah, you could start,
Uh-oh.
and then we'll pass it back to Maddie.
Oh, like I've said, a part of it is that you learn so much from our elders.
Mm.
All of us have different experiences. A lot of, like for myself, I didn't grow up with the spiritual side of our culture. I, after being put into residential school at the age of 5 till 14, there was no spirituality. In fact, if you couldn't do anything, you had to be spoken to before you could say anything. So my input with these grandmothers, I'm way behind. And I was so grateful when Reg asked me to be part of the elders circle, that he was knowledge keepers, when he asked me to be, but wanted to be part of the group. And I told him, I said, I didn't grow up with spirituality. I don't know what I can contribute. And he said, I said, I've always just been in the Western world. I've never been in the oral worldview of our people. And that's why he said, that's why we want you here. It's time for you to come over to our side and learn. You've got a lot to give, and we'll help you along the way. So that made me feel so happy, because I've never been involved in any group. I was always on my own with my 3 children. And all of a sudden I had a family, and it was really nice. And I'm still so grateful to be part as our group grows, listening to all of the elders. We've got so much to share. So I'm just very happy to be part of their group, and hopefully one day I'll be able to share something wonderful.
Well, I would say this circle is something wonderful. So thank you for that. And again, it is about the passing on wisdom. So back to you, Maddie, because that's what we're talking about today, is passing that wisdom. And it goes to show for everyone on here, everyone's learning journey starts at a different place. And I think, Doreen, you have much wisdom to share, and all of us are at different, like infants in this journey. So being brave is part of it. So thank you for your bravery, and for all of the grandmothers here today for being brave. So over to you, Maddie.
Thanks, Doreen, for sharing that. And I mean, Janet said it best, but I always leave my conversations in the circles from hearing from you, Doreen, feeling like I gained wisdom. So just thank you for your teachings along the way too. Yeah, and like again, Janet said, we're here to honor the knowledge and the wisdom the grandmothers have given us in the past, and then are also going to give us today. The discussion will be centered around the importance of intergenerational teachings. So exactly what these circles are from a woman's perspective. So from that unique perspective for everyone to just learn, how to foster community wellness, and to how to just make health and wellness an important piece of our lives. So we can take care of ourselves and then take care of others, which is a common theme and sentiment that elders have brought up and bringing up, is that piece of taking care of yourself so you can take care of others. So without our sponsors, this wouldn't be, well, obviously without Doreen and Janet, this wouldn't be possible, but then also without our sponsors. So I want to thank our sponsors, Communities ChooseWell and Alberta Blue Cross, for sponsoring this event. I want to turn it over to Narissa from Alberta Blue Cross to say a few words. Hi, Narissa.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Narissa Kanji. I'm the Community Impact Director at Alberta Blue Cross. I want to acknowledge that I'm on Treaty 6 territory, and I'm so pleased to be here with all of you to represent Alberta Blue Cross and to celebrate this important milestone of the 10th Grandmother Circle. We're so grateful for the continued partnership that we have and we've built with ARPA and Community ChooseWell. And our partnership is most certainly a pride of our organization. Alberta Blue Cross is dedicated in supporting opportunities like the Grandmother Circle that provide a space for Indigenous and non-Indigenous members of our community to come together and learn through intergenerational teachings and insight and to move forward together in the spirit of reconciliation. So thank you again to each and every one of you for joining us today. Thank you to the grandmothers for being here today. I am honored to be part of the Grandmother Circle, and I cannot wait to hear from you each and every one of you, and to hear from your wisdom. So thank you again for allowing us to be part of it.
Thank you, Narissa, and thank you, Alberta Blue Cross. Like you said, it really is truly a partnership, working and walking together. And just the support to all of the Grandmother Circles, there's so many of them, has been significant to come to this milestone moment of the 10th circle. So thank you so much. Okay, now I want to invite Brianna up. She's doing the Zoom support, as well as she's going to share a few words and maybe a couple highlights as well, about the Grandmother Circles over the past few years. She's been facilitating them and involved with them along with Janet, and she's been really important in like the facilitation of them over the years. So, Brianna?
I'm like, oh, I have to spotlight myself.
Like, where is she? So I want to pass it off to Brianna to share a few words and
Thanks,
say.
Maddie. And thank you for a beautiful opening prayer to all you beautiful grandmothers. It's always a blessing being in a space, whether it be virtual or in person. So thank you. I want to make it quick, obviously, because we have a lot to talk about. But I did just want to highlight just a little bit of like a summary of topics that we've discussed over, I keep wanting to say 10 years of 10 of grandmother circles. That's just not the case. It's 10 grandmother circles over the span of almost 5 years. And so for those of you who are maybe this is your first grandmother circle that you're coming to, we actually have so many more amazing ones on our website that we posted, and I just want to thank the grandmothers really for, on behalf of our organization and everyone, just the teachings and the wisdom that you continue to pass on. And I know for a fact there's a lot of us that have experienced a lot of growth personally, thanks to a lot of your teachings. And I know that's very true to myself. But yeah, so the first grandmother circle, we started just talking about with like women's perspectives, wellness, whatnot. A lot of it's kind of interlapping, and a lot of topics overlap with each other. So wellness and female perspectives. Then we kind of moved into talking about the importance of traditional Indigenous food systems, and kind of talking about how important it is returning to those medicines and plants and food and animals that are on the land. We then looked at speaking about residential schools, obviously a heavy topic there, but important, and has kind of what shaped a lot of Indigenous people's lives over the time, and it's still ongoing today. So we touched on that. Then we really talked about the power of connection and how important it is to lean on one another and have these circles and connect with each other, before kind of moving on to our circle about cultural safety, and really talking about missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit movement, and how that still very well is prevalent today and people are still living through it. And then we had a fun one, a protocol 101, because we always get questions about protocols and what it means to offer tobacco and what does smudge mean. So we had a really nice one. I think that was last September in honor of National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. So we went through that. And then, of course, we had our first in-person grandmother circle at the 2023 Communities ChooseWell Healthy Communities Symposium. So it was really great to be there in person and have these amazing discussions. And we kind of talked about lessons from the land and how important it is, especially for urban-based Indigenous communities, to be able to have access to nature and be able to connect with the land that way. And then, of course, we had our most recent one was on tobacco teaching. So we just kind of dove deeper into some of those protocols around tobacco and what it means to offering tobacco. So here we are, full circle, talking about just your overall wisdom, because you have so much to share. So I just wanted to play, it's like a minute 30 little video. It's on our social media already, so some of you might have seen it, but I wanted to also feature some of the other grandmothers that we have had who are not in the circle today. Because as a fun note, I was counting, and I think we've had overall 15 grandmothers be a part of our 10 circles over the last four-ish years. So that's pretty awesome. And of course, we can't feature them all. It's hard, but these are just some of their key teachings. So I just wanted to share this little video as like a thank you and a little fun recap. Can everybody see my screen? Okay, moment of truth will be the sound. I'm a little worried. Let me see here. Da, da, da. Okay. Well, we'll play it.
I nominate Diane.
Hi, good
Just so you
afternoon.
don't pick me.
But although it was different, it was still necessary to pass this beauty of being a woman and true. If you respect yourself, you will respect others.
We are here to love each other as women and to be strong for other women, be strong for our grandchildren.
For a healthy community, I think language is very, very important, because language itself gives you a sense of identity. It tells you who you are.
You know, we only take from the land what we need. We don't stock up in access.
I have to teach my children, my grandchildren, the community, because they're all our children, Regina. They're all our children. So the grandmothers here, you're all my children.
We're all coming from different places, but we have the same teachings, but in just slightly different ways. And that's what I love about talking like this, because we see that we're far more similar than different.
Being connected to a community, which could be your family, your place of work, your community where you live. It could be whatever you choose it to be. We are not meant to be alone, which is another reason it is important to belong.
Okay, I hope everyone was able to hear that, but I just wanted to share that because so many beautiful grandmothers have shared so many beautiful teachings, and yeah, these are just very special circles, and I'm really grateful that we get to be a part of them. So that's all I wanted to share.
Thanks, Brianna. That was special. I don't know if anyone else was getting kind of emotional, but wow, like just even those teachings in that short clip are yeah, they just make me emotional. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so we've had a long introduction, but as I've been taught by the elders, it's important to follow all of these protocol pieces and to do all these things and say where we're from and say who we are. And so now I want to get to the stars of the show and introduce the beautiful elders and grandmothers that are here. So first, I want to introduce Elder Doreen Healy, who we just heard from. She's a Blackfoot elder and the visionary, like I said, behind these circles. So welcome, Doreen. We're grateful to have you here again. As always, thank you for giving the background on these circles. Next, we have Carly Crowshoe, who is now a Blackfoot elder as well. And Janet usually speaks on this better than I do, but you know, it's a grandmother circle, but we also honor Carly as an elder and a grandmother just in a different way for the knowledge that she shares. Because in the Western way, she's not quite a grandmother yet. So but yeah, I want to welcome Carly here. So she's a Blackfoot elder, also an entrepreneur, dancer, and a proud mom. We've had the privilege of working with Carly in the past, and we're always honored when she can share her precious time with us. Carly, you came off mute. Do you have something you wanted to add to that, or?
No, I was just getting the notification that I was being forced to come off mute.
I don't know what that was from. We'll wait. You're good.
Saskia.
You're good to stay off mute though.
Okay.
Next we have Vinya Van Overdyke, who is a Saulteaux Cree elder and a traditional healer. So who, like all of the other elders here, has participated in ARPA's capacity building culture camp, and she's been part of Past Grandmother Circle. She's also highlighted in the Elders Camp documentary that we have on the ARPA website, and she shares some really beautiful teachings in that documentary. So I encourage everyone to check that out. So welcome back, Vinya. Next we have Elder Brenda Rowland. Brenda is a Métis elder and works extensively as the Indigenous integration lead with AHS. Brenda has been with ChooseWell and ARPA for many years, and the list of events and programs she has been involved with us with goes on for a long time, so I won't get into them all. But recently, she's really been guiding myself and ChooseWell with the Indigenous wellness gatherings as the elder for those gatherings. And I'm just always so thankful for her continued guidance and support and wisdom. So welcome, Brenda. Next, and certainly not least, we have Diane McGinnis, who is a Tsuut'ina elder from Tsuut'ina Nation. This is her 4th grandmother circle, and we've also had the honor of having her as conference elder at Symposium, at the ARPA conference, and as the elder at Parks Forum. Diane's a powerhouse as well, and we're always so happy when we have her here to share her knowledge as well. So welcome, Diane, and we're so happy you could make it today. So really happy to see you here. So just as a reminder to the audience and then also to the grandmothers that I'm going to read out the first question, and then we can go on a circle format and have you each answer the question. We have about a little less than an hour left, but that gives us quite a bit of time to dive in deep to the question that we're gonna ask. So you'll each get a chance to dive into it. If we have any time left at the end, we will take some audience questions like we had chatted about. So the first question, or the only big question we're asking today, is what is your favorite piece of health and wellness wisdom that you would like to share with us and then also pass on to the next generation? So this isn't something we discussed in our prep meeting, so I don't know who wants to go first, if there's any elder that wants to come off first. If not, I can invite someone to go first for us. Carly, let's I guess maybe
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Maddie. I'll go ahead and start. Awesome job. Thanks, Maddie, so much. I know how challenging this is for you. So when you get the chance, make sure you let Maddie know how great she's doing. Your voice is very soothing. So thank you. Thank you for inviting me to another grandmother circle. I'm really excited to be here. Again, thank you to my fellow elders. It's so funny to say that and that I'm an elder as well. But in my culture, I'm Blackfoot. I'm from the Piikani Nation. I have many transfers. I was raised by my grandparents. And most recently, I did a Sundance last year where I sat 4 days with my cousin Des. So that really catapulted me into my cultural and spiritual living and connection. So I would say I am an elder. I've transferred on out of societies and into higher levels of society. So in our way, that makes you an elder as well. I'm not too sure if we had a grandmother circle about this topic, but that's a pretty good topic to have as well. What is my favorite piece of health and wellness wisdom? So when I was thinking about this question, I really wanted to speak to the importance of recognizing the impacts of, I would say, the intergenerational impacts of colonization and how that impacted our view as Indigenous people of our own health and wellness. So I would say for me, that led to skewed advice about health and wellness, and it being more so defined about how somebody looked physically, emphasizing weight, emphasizing appearance. The colonization of our systems included not only physically, like how we look to determine health and wellness, but our nutrition and also our access to nutrition. And that ultimately, yes, led to that physical appearance and how we looked as Indigenous people. I also want to mention that, like, decolonizing our view of health and wellness is crucial to reclaiming our definition of what it means to be healthy and to live a lifestyle of wellness. So for me, I would say health and wellness really starts with my own like emotional well-being. And we all know, like I spoke to the fact of that intergenerational trauma and that colonization of that aspect of health and wellness. It also is, it also pertains to our emotional, mental well-being as well. So when you see an Indigenous person taking up space in a room, you have a colleague who's Indigenous, you have a peer in school, grad school, university, whatever it may be. I always want you to realize and recognize that they climbed mountains to be there, to get up, take care of yourself, feed yourself, get your kids dressed, take your kids to taking care of your family, because as Indigenous people, we are responsible for our families as well. And just showing up, being, I hate saying intergenerational trauma, but it's the truth. Being affected by those traumas of your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your relatives, it's hard. It's hard to just show up because you have that emotional overload, that mental overload on you that you can't take care of that right now. You just have to show up and you have to be there. So when we see Indigenous people in these jobs, in these roles at our schools, in our offices, it's really important for us to recognize and be understanding of what they've gone through and what they're continuing to go through just to show up there, right? Because we never really learned, personally, I never really learned those aspects of what it meant to be a functioning member of the Western society. I had to learn that as I went, and I'm still learning as a mother. So yeah, I really think it's important for me. Health and wellness starts with like my emotional well-being. And then once I have addressed that, I have the capacity to participate in addressing my physical well-being. And another aspect of that, in order to be physically well, is culture. So for me, and that also goes hand in hand with my mental well-being as well. It's like it teaches you lessons of how to be humble, letting go of things that bother you, taking the higher road and not reacting in a way that some people may want you to or they're expecting you to. And really understanding that, like, in order for my children to choose health and wellness and not have to worry about all of these things, I have to do that work, and I have to teach my children that having emotions and opinions matter. Like being able to say how you feel, it matters, and I'm here for it. And like, I'm your biggest fan, you know? And it's something just as little as that, that goes back to the aspect of really realizing you're making aware and creating that space for your Indigenous peers and colleagues that as a child, I did not have that, you know, and that is a result of intergenerational trauma. So just a little piece of me learning in my 30s now, like teaching my children that they matter and that they're heard and that they're loved is way more than what I received when I was a child. It's something I had to learn after I became a mom. So I really want to stress that mental wellness. If you, like you said in the beginning, Maddie, if you are not mentally well and you aren't well taken care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of your families. And that's who we are as Indigenous people. We take care of our families. So even though I have children, I take care of my grandparents, I take care of my sister, I take care of my mother, I take care of the household. So I really try and focus on practicing my culture, being good to myself so that I could physically and mentally do the things that I need to do every day. So in a big roundabout way, take care of yourself because in order to take care of others, that's what really matters.
Thanks, Carly. You're getting lots of hearts and you gave me chills, and then you're getting hearts in the comment box. You know, you talked a little bit about like other folks amplifying like Indigenous voices, or you know, doing those things because to lift up. Do you have any like other like pieces that you could share with people on like how they could do that, or like what that might look like?
Yeah, for sure. So right now I work at EY. It's a professional services firm, and I work in financial advising. And to get there, I think their hiring percentage is like 2% or less of people that interview get the job. So I'm working in this place that's like extremely it's an institution, to say the least. It's an institution, and I started this journey of conforming when I was taken from elementary school on my reserve, where I was in societies. I was learning my language. I was doing all of these things, and I was brought into the city because I was classified as a gifted child. So I was put straight into a fully French elementary, and then I continued to conform junior high, high school, and then I decided to go to university, and like that wasn't torture enough. I decided to go and get my master's in business, which was a huge undertaking within itself. Like I questioned my identity. I had to learn a new language. I had to learn a new way of thinking, not once, but twice. I really had to change everything about myself when I was interacting with my world now, my new world now, that I kind of left my identity behind. It was always there, but I had to. I had to leave it behind in order to go and do this. I had to neglect learning my language. I had to neglect moving ahead in my spirituality. I had to neglect a lot of things. I had to neglect my family, which was really important to me, to show up. Like I said, showing up in that office, showing up at that school every day, showing up to those meetings, getting on calls. You know, I was trained to speak in a way that's different from what I grew up with. And when I say make space for those people, I still go through things of reconnecting with my spirituality, but also healing emotionally, because I'm learning things that majority of society learned when they were younger. I'm still reconnecting with like my emotional journey is somewhere that it's still evolving. So for me to get up and go to work, but also having to deal with all of that background stuff and conforming for so many decades of my life, I think it's important. It may seem like I have the ability to speak for myself, but I still get intimidated and I still get scared to say how I feel in a room where I'm literally the only Indigenous person nationally. That's scary for me. So that's why I say it's important to lift up your fellow Indigenous colleagues, even though some of them you feel, oh, they're fine, they can do it on their own. They always can use that assistance because I've been conforming my whole life by myself. And I'm just like, come on, somebody, somebody rally for me. That's why I've stuck so close to with ARPAs because you guys are like so great and bringing forward those voices and really advocating and creating space. Not even advocating, you guys just create space so well for us as Indigenous people. So I'm so thankful. And I'll never leave you guys behind. I always remember you. I love you all.
Thanks, Carly.
Yes.
Obviously those are like personal like stories. So thank you so much for sharing those with us.
Yes.
And for saying you'll never leave us.
Not in this creepy like psycho stalker, you know, but like
No, you're so busy. We always appreciate the time that you're able to give to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
Okay, let's just go maybe since we're in the circle order of my screen. So next I would have Doreen, and then I'll just let you know the order so you know. Doreen, then we have Brenda, then Vinya, and then Diane. So Doreen, I'll open that question up to you. What's your favorite piece of health and wellness wisdom that you'd like to share with us and pass on to the next generation? Oh, and you're muted. Oh, Doreen, you're muted.
I was hoping to go last so I could listen to all the elders.
Oh, would you like to go last?
It's okay. I don't want to be. I guess my thinking about it, spent a lot of time after talking with Janet. One thing I learned, maybe it doesn't answer the question, but I learned a valuable lesson from my son, but it had to take his life for me to wake up. He always told me, live in the moment. It's so important to be in what you're doing today. Give it your full attention. Give it your heart and soul. And be grateful of what we have. Don't worry about yesterday or what tomorrow will bring. Live today to your best. And he says, Mom, you've got so much to give. I could just hear his voice right now. Anyways, it took his life before I woke up and realized how wise he was, that he was teaching me, but not to, because I'm always stressed about, because I was always alone with my family, with my kids. So I was always just so concerned about how am I going to feed my children? How am I going to clothe them? I wanted the best for them. I wanted them to have the best clothes so that they didn't get discriminated at school. I wanted them to fit in. So they were my priority. My world just revolved around them. And I never took the time, like Carly's talking about, helping, your fellow employee. I was just so my life was just my children. I had to have the best for them. I'm a solid home where they knew that was home, and they didn't have to worry about us having to move. So I worked very hard, and that was one good thing I learned from residential school, is how to survive. And so that, when my son told me, I guess he must have seen how stressed I always was to make things happen for the kids, having them involved in sports so they wouldn't get into trouble, taking them on holidays every summer. And it was really, every time I finished like a holiday, a road trip or flying them somewhere, it made me feel good because I wanted my children to see that there was another world out there, not just Calgary. So when my son said not to worry about tomorrow or not to worry about yesterday, lived for today. And I followed that. And the other kick in the pants that I got was last October. I was so glad that I was with my daughter, my youngest daughter, enjoyed every day with her and my granddaughters and my other daughter that has health issues. Because October 6th last year, my daughter left just for the day. Before she left, she was so happy, and she gave me a hug and told me how much she loved me and that she was going to go renew her license, her driver's license, and refill a prescription that she had, and she'd be home for dinner. That was the last time I saw her. She was murdered and someone found her on the Bow River. So living today to your fullest, hugging and loving your family, your children, your parents, if they're still with you, show the love and how much you care for them, because you never know what's around the corner. So that to me is living to your fullest today and showing your love for your children, your family. To me, that's the most important part of being alive today. I could go on and on, but I want to hear what the other elders have to say. So thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. Janet in the text box said such a powerful message, Doreen. Thanks for sharing. And I agree. Very powerful message and reminder that yeah, life is fleeting. So take in every moment. Thank you. Next, we're gonna pass it on to Elder Brenda Rowland to share her thoughts on this question. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Maddie. My heart is hurting right now. So powerful. Doreen, my heart is hurting for you so badly. It isn't that I didn't know these things before, but sitting in a circle like this, in our women's wisdom and in our women's way, knowing that the pain you carry is so deep. I just want you to feel like you can pass that pain and put it on our shoulders. We'll carry that for you too. Okay? I can't even imagine what that must be like for you. So thank you so much for sharing that and having the courage to share what you learned from that experience, especially looking at our young people. When you think about what is our health and wellness, what do we want to share? I think what we want to share, or what I want to share, is the importance of family. Like Carly was saying, taking care of our families, loving, providing for and with, but also having the opportunity to enjoy the laughter and the peace and the fun, and not all trials and tribulations, but joy as well. So health and wellness, if you have joy, you have wellness, right? When I think about, everything I was talking about the other day, it's kind of gone now because of where we went in the circle, right? Wellness is about taking care of ourselves first. You know, I 100% agree with Carly with regard to that, because I've always used to use the airplane analogy. If you don't put the mask on yourself, you're going to help anybody else, because you'll be dead. You'll be dead. That's simple. But wellness is also so many things, like laughter in our cultures, our different cultures. We have dance, we have songs, we have so many pieces of ourselves that unfold as we embrace who we are. And then I think about bringing that to our young people, and we need to be able to share that love and joy and fun and frivolity with our young ones, right? I think about them as our new leaders, our leaders of the future. And if we are not sharing what is good and well with us, then how do they get there, right? So I had a few different stories I wanted to share. But for me, I work in a field that I have no faith in. And so every day I bring myself out of that place, of that system place, you know. I'm in Western medicine, and I don't even believe in Western medicine. I believe in our medicines. I believe in our own ways of healing. And as a Métis person, I feel very fortunate to walk in two worlds. I get to enjoy that traditional way of being, the traditional medicines, the traditional knowledge that is shared. But I also get to see from a Western perspective. And what I want to share, and maybe I'll be stricken down by somebody, but Western ways of wellness, other than, of course, enjoying parks and recreation, enjoying being active out in those places, in nature, that's really, really good. But when I think about wellness, I think about how we can heal ourselves and each other. I think about our smudge. I think about our protection with our smudge and our elders that have taught us so much about how to be well. But then I also recognize that we have a lot of young people who are on the streets, who don't have the opportunity to learn from the elders, who don't have the opportunity to be engaged with an elder, with someone who is a knowledge carrier, a knowledge holder. You know, we have many people in this ARPA and the folks that attend through ChooseWell who are knowledge holders themselves. And I really feel fortunate to participate in that way with this team, with this group. with these amazing, amazing grandmothers. And I'm really fortunate because I was one of those kids. I was that kid on the street. I was the one that came back from losing identity, losing family, almost losing my life on those streets. But something was protecting me. And I know now, through all these years, that that was Creator. That was my traditional way that was keeping me on this journey, on this path, so that I could be here today to share with you guys. So, what is wellness? Wellness is knowing yourself, recognizing yourself, being able to pick yourself up, move forward, even though there's so many troubles along the way. So fortunate to be here with very amazing people. Fortunate to be here and share what I never ever in my life thought I would be sharing as an elder and as an old woman now, being able to share some information. You know, I think about our young people on the streets a lot, and I think about that disconnect that we have, and my concern is that they won't have the opportunity like some of us did, like I did, to be able to reconnect to my culture, reconnect to my people, and lose them, you know. So our leaders of the future need to learn how to take care of themselves, and not always trust everything that they see. I'm not saying we shouldn't build trust. Absolutely. It's one of the biggest things that we've been missing for so long because of all the, because of the colonization, the genocide, right? How can you possibly trust? Well, I'm sort of still in that place because of where I work. I don't trust. I still don't trust. I don't trust what's being said out there. So what I believe in, what I trust in is myself and my relations. And right now, I would say for young people, for their wellness, learn to trust yourself. Trust your gut. If you're uncertain about something, question it. Don't be afraid to question. We have the right. We have a right to protect ourselves. We have the right to be who we want to be. And if that means learning about your culture, learn your language, learn how to be who you truly are, because this is your journey. This is your journey. It's not anybody else's. It's your gut. It's your way of being. And if I wanted to share what my take is on the best way to be well for future generations, especially, it would be to follow those 7 sacred teachings. Those are the teachings that got me here. I learned how to be honest, but first I had to learn to respect myself. And I learned how to respect others after that. Because I was a smart aleck, I'll tell you. You probably don't even have a clue what a smart aleck yeah. So learning respect, having the courage to be honest, having the courage to be truthful, not just with others, but with myself, right? Being able to be humble and not worry, because there is wisdom in all of us, but be wise in your choices, right? And be humble as you move through. Those 7 sacred teachings are what brought me to here today. because without them, I would probably be dead. I would not be here on this planet at all. So that's what kept me going. That's what kept me well. Being active, doing all the things that ARPA suggests is very good, right? It's very good. Be healthy, eat healthy. I push that all the time. Eat healthy, be active, enjoy doing life with activity, right? That's part of the work that I do. I do prevention work. But the exciting part is that you can do all that and be all that and still be with yourself, be within, and let your true light shine through, because that who we all truly are, in my humble opinion. Thanks. That's what I got.
Thank you, Brenda. I love the pullback to ARPA and recreation. It's making us giggle. But I also love like the cultural piece of like the 7 sacred teachings to find wellness. Because I know, in the chat, we do have Indigenous folks like looking to find their culture as well. Like I think of even my sister, who I know was watching today, and like that's a way for her, and for myself too, as an Indigenous woman who didn't grow up with the teachings, to kind of learn how to reconnect to that wellness piece in a way that isn't as straightforward as like the Western ways. So thank you for that. And also thank you for the laughs and smells as well. You always get some giggles in there. Okay, next I'll pass it to Vinya. So Vinya, do you need a reminder of the question, or? I think you're on mute, so I'll ask that you unmute. There you go. Hi, Vinya.
Hi. I want to thank my sisters for all the wonderful wisdom they shared, and for ARPA to giving us this chance to give our knowledge to the public. And it's I guess a question that I ask myself once in a while is, being healthy. I push myself all the time. Being a cancer survivor 3 times, I just let myself heal. I don't let the illness take over, and just believe in something that is higher out there, that created all things. I leave it up to him or her. So it's I think wellness is a way of life. From the day we are born to the day that we are gone to the spirit world, we survive. And wellness is part of survival. And without healing the spirit, your spirit, you can't stay healthy. One of the teachings that I learned when I was young was um, never put anything in your body or consume anything that is going to alter your mind and affect your body. That's one of the important things that I learned as a spiritual healer. I started my lessons when I was really young, about 4 years old. And being able to acknowledge that there is a higher being, the creator of all things. My father used to say, the great mystery, because you can ask and say a prayer for good health or help somebody in your family. And I guess that's another way of explaining love as well. That is the number one teaching in the 7 sacred teachings. Loving. And you have to learn loving is that deep feeling you feel for your child, that when they are born, when they are little, that you would give their life, your life, to save them. And that is love. The things that they learned, the people that went to the residential schools, being told love is something else. That was not love. So, learning to talk about that and releasing that is your first step of healing. Learning to talk about your feelings. When we do our circles, it's a safe place to speak. And we are able to release all the negativity, and it's taken away by the Creator in that smudge we put in the center of that circle. And we leave it there. And it stays there when we leave. That is health. And I think one of the most important things that we need to do in order to be healthy is doing that, connecting with our spirit, our spirituality. Don't try to be someone that you are not. That was one of the other things that I was taught. You are not a white man, a white woman. Accept who you are. And when you actually accept yourself, that's when you become whole again. When I got married, I became a white woman because I lost my status. But I'm still brown. It didn't change my color. So, no matter what the government said, I was still Native and Indian. So, what it says in that piece of paper was a lie. So, I regained my status and passed it on to my children because they are part of me. And that's when I truly started to heal. It was when I knew that, okay, now the government accepted that I was a Native as well, that I was an Indian, they said. So at that time, that's when I accepted my spirit and my spirituality because they couldn't take that away. So my message to the young people is accept who you are, be proud, and find out where your spirit is walking and call them back. Miigwech. Thank you.
Thanks, Vinya. You have me tearing up a little bit. I'm like, am I the young person you're talking to? I'm not young anymore. But that was beautiful. I love, yeah, that's a powerful message of accepting yourself for who you are. So thank you so much. I'm going to pass it on now to Diane to yeah, finish the circle off. Diane, what is your favorite piece of health and wellness wisdom that you want to share with us and pass on to the next generation?
Thank you, everyone. I think everyone said everything that needs to be said. Very powerful messages, right all the way through. No one kind of swayed from the question, you know. It's a very powerful question, and just very powerful responses coming from the grandmothers. The grandmothers in our traditional ways are the holders of knowledge because of our lifetime, because of our life experience of everything that we've experienced in a good way, things we've experienced that were not so good. And I really, we have to carry in some ways our relatives in so many ways, and some are not even our blood relatives, but they're our relatives just because they're real people like us. In our language we call ourselves real people. And so all of us have a natural tendency to carry that caring no matter where we go. It's like that. And I don't want to take up, we don't have that much time left. We only just have a few minutes left. But I'll just quickly say that in Tsuut'ina, there's a way how we say or how we call ourselves, like when we're when we're in our places of well-being is through it's the word is minanisha, and it means their whole being. That means the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, the physical. It means everything. And that's by some of the old people. They can look in your eyes and tell you how you're doing. And you'll be just shocked to say, oh my God, how did they know that? But these are the old people that have these gifts, and these, because of that, their own well-being is good. They could know it in another person. So that's the best way I can explain it in English. And the one that I'm thinking about that was like that was my grandmother. My grandmother was like that. She could tell. And so I automatically think, oh, gee, all the old people can probably do that. You know, they could tell how people are. And back then in the olden days, we never had these losses that we deal with now today in this modern day. We suffer many losses that are really old people. They probably never even would hear of those kinds of losses. And I'm thinking about that, like the missing and murdered, and the children that were discovered, you know, at the residential schools. I mean, some of the old people that went there, they already knew, but the thing was that it seemed like people were not responding to actively search. But there's the old people that went to those schools. They knew there was a bunch of kids that didn't come back home. So when I think that our wellness has to do with forgiveness too, is a really big part of our wellness. We have to forgive ourselves, we have to forgive others, and it's part of our well-being. Because if we hang on to resentments, that's just going to make us sick. That's what happens with a lot of our people. I was at a survivor circle last night, very powerful, and very in both ways, in a negative way and in a positive way. So I seen from myself how desperate some of our people are. This is in my own community here at Sutena. So, you know, because it was Suicide Survivors Day, and they had a feast for the ones that we lost. Very powerful. But I just wanted to share that. When I was thinking about this last night from that circle that I was in, I was thinking Minanisha. That means their whole well-being has to be good. And so when we concentrate on one area, we might forget one of the other areas. So that's everything to do with our food. Somebody mentioned about the food we eat, like doing exercise. And this morning I went for my walk. I try my best to go for my walk every morning. And if I don't do my walk, I kind of feel a little bit stiff. So, but when I do my walk, I don't feel stiff. So for me, that's my wellness, that's my health. And all the tobacco I got yesterday at that ceremony I went to, I prayed with it and I put it down on the ground. And I'm asking the land, you know, we do land acknowledgements, but that's kind of a modern thing when it's written. Like our people, we always acknowledge the land. Like the Indigenous people always acknowledge the land. And all of you that are Indigenous people, you already know that. I don't have to tell you. We always acknowledge. But when I went for my walk, I took that tobacco and I put it down for all the people who we lost. Because like the other lady said, you know, Nata, that means the creator. He sees us. He sees every single one of us. So we don't have to be worried that we're not doing the right thing. We're doing it with a good heart. It will be good. So thank you, everyone. I love you all, every single one of you. You know, every single one of you has guided me and helped me with all my losses that I went through. You all know what the losses I went through. And every single one of you have helped me. It really means a lot to me to be part of this circle. Sieskas, thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Mhm.
We have a few more minutes. I wanted to touch quickly on the piece you were talking about on parks. The other day in our small circle, you had mentioned going out in nature to the park. And I Since we have a couple of minutes left, maybe you can share.
Yeah, sure. I think it's really imperative to see our land, like all of the land here, wherever we go. If we're near a park, that's good. But if we're not near a park, just in nature in general, it's a powerful healing to be in a natural area where we receive that strong sense of silence. Sometimes silence is good, because that in lots of people believe that, lots of us believe that's when the creator talks to us, or we can hear what the creator's telling us, especially when we're in a troubled area, we're having troubles in our lives. I think for me, that's how I find peace, is when I'm in a quiet place and in amongst the trees and just the regular ordinary land, whether it's here at Tsuut'ina or in any of the park areas that have been, that are available to us. I find that inner peace. And like this morning, it was really nice. It was really, it just rained. It was so beautiful. And I just felt so much gratitude. I just felt so grateful to be able to walk, first of all, and to be walking and to be praying and to be part of I guess, how would you say it, like a movement of wellness. We have to move to be well. We can't, I don't like to sit. The only time I sit is when I'm on Zoom. But I try and move all day. I try and move, not to sit. So thank you, Maddie. I hope that's good. I hope that's a little bit of insight into some things that are helpful. Okay, see you guys. Thank you.
No, that's beautiful, and I love oh, Doreen, hands up.
Yeah.
Oh, you're still on mute.
I just wanted to share quickly a teaching that came from the elders, from Dr. Reg Koshu. And it's really stuck with me. It's whenever you experience any traumatic experience, your spirit separates from you. And you need to smudge in order to reconnect with your spirit. It's so important to always be connected with your spirit. And you don't have to be an elder in order to do a smudge. Everyone, you can do a smudge in the morning. Give thanks to the creator that you another day to wake up and enjoy the day, and to live your fullest and share the love. And then at night, again, give thanks for the day with your smudge and ask for a good night. So I just wanted to share, to pass something. I didn't do that in my presentation, that what I wanted to share with the young people. It's so important. Smudging just makes you feel so comfortable and so loved. So that's your connection to the creator. So thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. I think that's a really beautiful way to end off the circle, just like that connection with smudging into creator. So thank you for it. It was meant to be. We were meant to come back to you and have you end us off in that way. So thank you. With that, I'm gonna invite, well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much to all of you for just your words today. Like, I know we're all going to leave just feeling so full and thankful, and I just feel a lot of gratitude. There's so many messages in the chat box as well, just saying thank you. And I think what I'll do is I'll record some of them so I can read them to you in person. We don't have time today to go into questions from the audience because we're already at 1:30, which I shouldn't be surprised about anyways. So I want to welcome and ask the grandmothers to give us a closing prayer as well for today.
Okay.
So please end us off in a good way with the closing prayer.
Okay. Sonita nata minizata nitskusnahata. Sinachina da sitana kimok menisistita nata. Sanita, Dirset Kwana Kema Kumanesiste. Thank you for this beautiful day. Aho.
Okay, I know I have. As usual, it's always a blessing. Mercy Kitchen.
Thank you. I heard always a blessing, beautiful day, you know, those kind of pieces. And I agree, it is a beautiful day. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone for coming. Thank you to Alberta Blue Cross for sponsoring.
Yeah.
Thank you to the stars of the show, the grandmothers, Carly, Diane, Doreen, Vinya, and Brenda for coming and sharing your wisdom today. I will connect with you so we can have a little grandmother circle get together.
Okay.
So I'll connect with you after. And then for those that are watching, I just want to encourage you to get out for the month of September and participate in National Day of Truth and Reconciliation learning opportunities. Wear your orange shirts, check out the ARPA website for learning opportunities, check out our oral knowledge hub. And then as well, we have an Indigenous food sovereignty e-course that's being released this month as well, to honor National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. So yeah, check out those. And this recording is going to be sent out to everyone. So we get to share these moments. We'll have them for a while. So thanks everyone again. I hope you all have a great rest of your day.